new findings with the National Hockey League, of course, with the cases with concussions, was unveiled yesterday, and it keeps growing and growing. Recently, the United States Supreme Court, or the courts, federal courts that is, decided to open up the emails to the general public in regards to the knowledge that the NHL, referring to Bill Daly, and who is a commissioner, or co-commissioner at the time, and Gary Bettman, were emailing back and forth in regards to concussions and the high level of players getting hurt. And it seemed like the way these emails were I would say perpetrated, but the way they make them sound is the NHL was fully aware of what can happen. You had Bill Daly say, you know what, I could understand why you see rampant drug abuse with these players and some of the cases where they face severe depression. It's because they are fighters. What do you make of these emails and how they've transpired?
I hate it when this stuff sort of comes around, because I wonder about the emails that I've sent and when they're going to come to the media some fine day.
We have them, it's okay.
Exactly. But you see such a small snippet of it that they say there's thousands of emails and you get 18 lines out of 4 different messages. And it's such a, you don't see the Gary Bettman saying this and then but at the end of it. It's almost as much hearsay as anything else.
Most of it, in all fairness, was redacted. It was the stuff that was redacted that was truly unveiled. But for all of us, I guess we all know that you get a blow to the head, chances are you might not necessarily be right later on in life. We've seen that with the NFL, just recently admitted it. It took them years to finally say, you know what, there could be a link to CTE and the game of football.
But why do they have to admit it, though? You're playing, football's a prime example of it.
But that's the whole point. I think maybe for lawsuit cases, right?
But just think about it intelligently for a moment, that if you go and you put on knives on your feet and you skate at 30, 40, 50 kilometers an hour and you run into things, injury is going to be a part of that. And they're not doctors. Gary Bettman, Meager, Daly, they're not doctors to say, oh, absolutely, it's an impact that it's going to have repercussions down the road. An intelligent person can say, yeah, you bash your head against something long enough, eventually there's going to be an injury, and obviously that has to have an impact on everything else in your life.
With that said, Andrew, just to me, it shows that they have knowledge. They are fully aware that, you know what, there could be a link here. And if you are a former player, isn't that, I guess, notice for you to say, you know what, I'm going to sue the National Hockey League?
It is, because they've denied they had any notice of it or any intention. Now all of a sudden they know about it. But as you said, they have a snippet of...
As a player, though, how do you not have enough common sense to realize, again, when I skate with knives on my feet and really not a ton of equipment and I run into things and then somebody punches me in the face while I punch them in the face, there's going to be repercussions for it.
And that's actually one of the biggest things
I
pulled out of all this was that they wanted to maybe get rid of the fighters in the league.
Yep.
But they had the pushback from the NHLPA saying, well, we can't get rid of that because you're getting rid of certain players.
That's their job losses. And you're referring to that email. Daly also mentioned that they tried getting rid of it, and the NHLPA, or it was Garrett Bettman who said that, but the PA fought back and said, no, because you're taking money out of people's livelihoods.
So how could I be responsible if I say, I don't want you to fight, but your boss or your union wants you to fight to keep money? You have to just throw up your hands and say, well, where does the fault actually lie? You hate to say I don't want to take a side on this, but it's kind of common sense that if I'm going to keep punching you in the head, something's going to happen to you or to me, and there's got to be some, I guess, assessment of risk here, and that's the biggest part I just don't understand about.
And actually,
the players have to own some of it.
And that's going to lead me to my next follow-up. And talking about football, you have a head coach with the Arizona Cardinals, Bruce Arians, who came out and said, look, you don't want your kids to play, fine, but, you got to realize the ramifications in this thing, and you're an idiot as a parent, basically, for not thinking that this is not a violent sport or that these kids will be hurt. It's a part of life. Do you agree with what Bruce Arians was saying in terms of, you know what, people should let kids just play the game and that's it?
I think so. I think when you look at the game of football, I think it's really a double-edged sword, and that it's safer than it's ever been. The equipment is better than it's ever been. The helmets are far superior than what they were 5 years ago. But guys are also bigger, faster, stronger, and all of that. The parents that want to say, my child's never going to play football because it's too dangerous, There was an E60 episode where they talked about the dangers of head trauma in soccer and the impact of, it was one player in particular that ended up with ALS, and they directly related it post-mortem to say that this brain injury that he had that developed into ALS was a direct result of heading the ball hundreds and thousands of times a day. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, whatever sport it is, football, soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever, there's trauma there to some extent. It's not necessarily a hit to the head from 200-300-pound bodies colliding against each other. Sometimes it's a hit from the side and you just bounce your head around a little bit, and that's all it takes. It's a number of things, and there's other predisposing factors that go into that too. It's the diet and the supplements and stuff that guys are using that are probably doing as much of that damage as the actual contact itself.
And with the kids, do you agree with what Bruce Arians was saying? Just let the kids play football.
Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously for us, we want kids to play sports and you want them to see them out there. But we also know about all the stuff that comes into concussions when it comes to football. When do you start weighing that though? Like as a parent, am I not going to stop if my kid wants to go play football, am I going to say, no, you can't, because when you're 18, 19, 30 years old, you're going to have concussion problems because of something you did when you were in high school? And that, probably not, because the games are getting safer, but there's still always problems. But it's not just football. Every sport has a problem. There's an assessment of risk in any single sport you play. That's never going to change. That's sports in general. Unless you play golf, that's probably about it. Like, that's the only sport I could think of where you really can't get hurt or get a concussion.
I got hit by a golf ball last year.
That's
there.
Well, you're going to have to go see a scan then, or that.
See, 500 yards out, someone can.
How about
plunk you.
this,
Yeah.
guys? How about this? All right, we're going to switch gears. We'll still talk about football, but switching it from head trauma to a guy who's really had some problems mentally on the side of football. We're talking about Robert Griffin III. He has signed a 2-year contract with an option. Really safe deal in terms of both parties. One guy wants to resurrect his career. Cleveland Browns just have a bridge quarterback for the time being. Do you see Robert Griffin III and Cleveland being a good match, Andrew?
No,
With Hugh Jackson as their head coach, who's a player's coach, and quarterbacks love him. And look what he did with Andy Dalton.
With his injury past and the fact he hasn't really been that true number one guy for a while, and now you're going into a team that is just, let's be honest, they're a constant mess all the time. I can't see him resurrecting his career, and this is going to be the RG3 we knew of old. I know you already bought your jersey. I'm sorry, but this is not going to happen.
They have it on standby anyways. Go ahead, Shane.
You'd like to think so, but I don't think he's proven that he can't do it on his own, for one thing. And I don't know that he has enough tools in Cleveland to make him great. Unfortunately, a quarterback doesn't always get to dictate the way everything goes around him. If the quarterback has Andrew and I to throw the ball to, the season's not going to go well.
Kidding me?
Tom Brady's not going to make you look good.
I'd make Tom Brady look good.
You do.
Can we, but very quickly, get to the last point before we hit the commercial break. You wanted to make a statement.
I think he's got the physical tools, and you have to heal and that sort of thing. Physically, yes. But I don't think Cleveland's the stop to make that happen. It might get him back to respectability, but it's not going to make him a superstar.
All right, guys, thanks for that. We're going to take a quick time out and return with Over Under next.